So my name is Jashan and now I will talk about source 1, that is colonialism as a crime. Colonialism is responsible for many harms that await criminalization. The means through which colonialism was initially passed was often illegal within the context of its day, such as in the case of white settlers seizing land from indigenous people. People being contrary to the seller's own laws. Other crimes of colonialism remain unpunished and are pursued, such as the death of the thousands of indigenous children with Canadian's residential school system and the Canadian state attempted an actual genocide of indigenous peoples. Viewing colonialism as a crime is not simply about recognizing that the land was stolen and the original inhabitants harmed. It is about law power to define who is to be considered as a worthy victim and who can get away with murder. So, such examples demonstrate the law is not simply a matter of consequences, wherein a society norms become codified into a formal set of rules. Law is also an arena of conflict, and the outcome of this conflict determines who gets framed as a criminal. W.B. Du Bois recognized this fact over a century ago in his work on crime and race in the American South. He explains that the police system of the South was originally designed to keep track of all black people, not only criminals. And when black people were freed, the the first almost and universal device was to use courts to re-enslave the black population. Du Bois understood that the power was to define that what was criminal could be used as weapon against an entire group of people. And a lesson the Black Lives Matter movement has once again brought to the forefront of public consequences. Colonialism is characterized by the use of force, coercion, and the exploitation of resources and the people to achieve political and economic dominance. Colonial practice often involves the denial of basic human rights, including the right to self-determination and land ownership and cultural preservation. The effects of colonialism continue to be felt in the form of economic inequality, political instability, and social division in post-colonial societies. Proponent of this perspective argue that the actions of the colonial powers, including the seizure of land, forced labor, and cultural destruction, should be viewed as crimes against humanity. Example of colonial crimes are land seizure, the forced displacement of indigenous people from their ancestral lands, forced labor and slavery, the exploitation of indigenous populations of economic gain, culture destruction, the supervision of indigenous languages, traditions, and belief. Such example demonstrate that law is not simply a matter of consequences, where a society norms become codified into a normal set of rules. Law is also an arena of conflict. The outcome of this conflict determines who gets framed as criminal. Uh, WEB recognized this fact over a century ago in his work on a crime and race in the American South. He explains that the political system of the South was originally designed to keep track of all black people and not only criminals. When black people were freed, the first and almost universal advice was to use the court to re-enroll the black population. Du Bois understood that the power to define what was criminal could be used as weapons against an entire group of people, a lesson that the Black Lives Matter movement has once again brought to the forefront of public and consequences. Colonialism is characterized by the use of force, consequences of exploitation of resources, the people to achieve political and economic dominance. Viewing colonialism as a crime is not simply about recognizing that land was stolen and the original inhabitants harmed. It is about law power to define who is to be considered a worthy victim and who can get away with the murder. So this is all source 1. Now in the next video I will talk about source 2.